So I feel like I should address some of the feedback I got in my last video. See, a lot of people who disagree with me claim that I was rage baiting. Now for those of you who don't know what that is, I'll explain. Rage bait is a type of content deliberately crafted to provoke a strong negative emotion, typically anger, frustration, or outrage in order to gain attention on media platforms. So I want to make it clear that while I do have some controversial takes on TV shows and movies, these are all my real opinions and I don't lie or exaggerate to make people angry. That would be unprofessional of me. See, if I was a rage baiter, I would say things like, Arcane is the worst thing to happen since 9/11, or I would rather get anthrax than watch this show. But I don't do that, because I have integrity. Number 2, Arcane is the worst thing that happened since 9/11. So the biggest complaint about Season 2 so far is the pacing of the show, and how it feels super fucking rushed. Everything from the character arcs to narrative focus, as well as whole plot lines, all feel like they're going a mile a minute. The character of Caitlyn Kiermman is a good example of this. So let's discuss this character in detail and see how she dramatically changes into a completely different person in the matter of a couple episodes.
Everyone in my life has changed. Promise me you won't change. I won't.
A few moments later.
Bullshit!
In Season 1, we really get to know Caitlyn as this no-nonsense and by-the-book cop. At the beginning of the show, you can tell that she's a product of her place in society. She looks down a bit on the people of Zaun, and isn't used to the more gritty world of the Undercity. But over the course of her time with Vi, she begins to change her point of view and sees how the people of are taken advantage of. It's a great character arc, as we see her change and become a more open-minded person. A really open-minded person. Now I know losing someone as close to you as your mother can really put a damper on your mood. It might make you a little angry, upset, or aroused in some cases. However, it's unlikely that it would completely change you as a person. People's ethical and moral codes don't shift on a dime, especially if you're someone that has like 9 episodes of character development that has cemented you as a really good person. Having Kate go from being hesitant to kill Jinx in the finale to being an attempted child murderer 3 episodes later is fucking weak. Now I will say that turning Caitlyn into an autocrat could have been a really cool idea, had the show given itself more time to process this kind of character arc. There are plenty of shows that have created main characters that slowly decline in moral virtue over the course of the story. However, these shows gave us a gradual fall into darkness, rather than an instant leap. If that wasn't bad enough, Caitlyn again has another dramatic shift in character when she meets back up with Vi in episode 6. So at this point in the story, Caitlyn has been leading Piltover for I'm assuming at least a few months. It's also been established that she has some kind of master and apprentice relationship with Mbessa, as well as forming a new romantic attachment to Maddie. So it's only natural that she completely betrays all these relationships and ideas the moment Vi calls her Cupcake. Jesus Christ, that's all it took? You're gonna go against everything you have built for months because your ex-girlfriend called you by your nickname?
Come on now, you expect me to believe that?
You expect me to believe that?
I don't. No way.
Come on, no way!
Now this is obvious, but it's become apparent to me that there are still people out there that think that this show is flawless. So I'm gonna point out how this makes absolutely no fucking sense on either a logical or character level. The last time that these two saw each other, Caitlyn punched Vi so hard it turned her into a man. She chose to walk away from their relationship because Vi was unwilling to do extremely immoral things to get revenge. As we can see in the episodes leading up to this, there have been no revelations on her part to change this outlook. Sure, she complains to Mbessa about the Noxians being too rough at the checkpoints, but so fucking what? That was more of an offhand comment than any real moral issue. Even Mbessa just shrugs it off. The next time these two face a moral quandary together is when they deal with Dr. Revik. So Vander kills everyone in the prison, and Revik is interrogated by both Mbessa and Caitlyn. However, they get nothing out of him. Caitlyn then orders that he be locked away. After this, Mbessa returns to Revik on her own and offers him a deal to join her, which he accepts. The two then go to Revik's lavatory, and they're discovered there by Caitlyn. Now, it seems to me that Caitlyn wants to kill Revik because she's aiming a rifle at him. However, he manages to convince her not to by saying that he can cure death or something. Anyway, the scene feels really fucking weird because Caitlyn's motivations aren't very clear. Caitlyn had ordered Revik to be locked away in prison, only for Mbessa to go behind her back and break him out. So Caitlyn should be really angry that Mbessa went against her orders. Yet they greet each other without any issue. She also puts up no resistance to the idea of using Revik to track Vander. Overall, there is some minor conflict, but the writers don't make Caitlyn's feelings on the situation very clear to the audience. Does she feel betrayed by Mbessa? Does she really want to capture Vander, or is that more of Mbessa's thing? Does she agree with using Revik because that's what she wants? Or is she just trying to hold on to an alliance with the Noxians?
I don't know what is going on, but somewhere our wires got crossed.
So this would have been a great time for the writers to show some division between Caitlyn and Mbessa. Caitlyn should have made it clear that she would not tolerate this kind of betrayal from her allies. Then, Mbessa could have made a bold move, telling Caitlyn that the Noxians have all the real power in Piltover, and ultimately Caitlyn has to do what she wants. You know, something that revealed a bit more of the power dynamics between these two characters. This idea would give more credence to Caitlyn's ease in turning against Mbessa, as the two would already be in this power struggle. Having no reason for Caitlyn to make yet another 180 with her character arc makes the whole plotline feel empty. There is no clear emotional turmoil within Caitlyn's character. She's never shown to be truly struggling with her position of power, and isn't faced with any real complicated moral issues that make her question her duties or loyalties. Sure, they pay some lip service to some of these ideas, but they don't resonate as real troubles for the character. Instead, we get what feels like multiple character arcs over the course of a few episodes. Caitlyn is constantly changing her morals, going back on her word, betraying her allies, and turning her back on what she considered the most important. This makes the character not only feel rushed, but empty and weak as well. Pushing a character's evolution at this pace is jarring because it takes the audience out of the scene because we have to stop and think about how stupid the whole plotline is. We have to accept that even though Caitlyn is in control of the government, has a new girlfriend, and is responsible for thousands of lives, that she is willing to throw it all away, presumably at the cost of starting a war, because a chick that she kissed one time asked her to.
Son of a bitch!
But go ahead and leave a comment about how this is Shakespearean level writing and somehow I'm blind to its genius, you piece of Number 3. I would rather get anthrax than watch this show. Alright, here we are, the big fight scene. The showdown we have all been waiting for. This is gonna be epic, right?
Well, you know the old expression. Nope.
Okay, so this fight scene with Jinx is meaningless for all the characters involved except Isha. She is the only one who changes or grows from the experience. All the other characters do not change their goals or perspectives. Caitlyn gets a little bit more bitchy, but that's about it. This battle is pretty climactic in the eyes of the characters as well as the audience because it's been building since the end of Season 1. So the outcome of the battle should have a heavy impact on the plot as well as every character involved. Everyone should at least walk away with a much different perspective, if not a great loss. This would add to the impact of the moment. However, the problem with this battle is that nobody gets what they want, nobody dies, and there's no lasting consequences. Vi and Caitlyn fail to kill Jinx, which results in this elaborate graffiti prank all over Piltover. Wait, that's it? She just paints the city with some smoke bombs? Nobody dies? Sure, I guess Zaun's air is rerouted, but we never see the consequences of that on the city. Had they shown a scene where all the vegetation in Piltover is starting to wilt and die, then that would have at least added some impact to the idea. However, we never actually see what this does to Piltover. So Vi and Caitlyn failed to stop an insane terrorist, and there are no negative consequences for either the characters or the city? After this happens, Vi and Caitlyn are conveniently sucked out of this room and are blocked off from getting back inside. I guess Caitlyn is pretty upset because she didn't get to murder a child, so she sucker punches Vi and walks away. And that's it.
I mean, it just seems kind of gay, doesn't it?
I don't know, maybe, yeah.
Well, do you think you're part of some, gay beat-up underworld? Like one of those gay beat-up clubs or something?
What is the most frustrating thing about this whole fight is that the two most important people, Vi and Jinx, don't affect each other. The emotional core of this fight is their relationship. We see them grow up as close sisters, but then, through tragedy and circumstances out of their control, they end up on opposite sides of the conflict. That's why it's Vi and Jinx who are the ones fighting each other, while Caitlyn and Savika are off to the side, because it's not about them. It's about these two sisters finally having it out after wronging each other so many times. This is all undermined by Caitlyn and Isha. Their presence in the scene interrupts the conclusion for Vi and Jinx's relationship. Vi beats Jinx and then has the opportunity to kill her. However, this choice is interrupted by Isha getting in the way. Then Caitlyn wants to shoot the kid, I guess, which forces Vi to stop her. See how the whole focus of the fight is completely redirected right before its natural conclusion? The moral choice becomes more about how far Caitlyn is willing to go to get revenge, but that's not what the audience is really invested in. But even this outcome is interrupted by Vi grabbing the gun from Caitlyn. So none of the characters make any actual crucial decisions because everyone is stopped just before they can act. Then, everyone is separated so the fight has to stop. Nobody walks away from the fight any more resolved or changed. Sure, Vi gets heartbroken by Caitlyn, but that's separate from Jinx entirely.
Cool. This coffee smells like shit.
It is shit, Austin.
Oh good, then it's not just me.
Now I'm gonna go out on a limb here, but it would have been better to have some actual consequences to the battle. Like what if Jinx had a plan to do another deadly terrorist attack on Piltover? So stopping her was really pressing because more innocent people would die as a result. This would add a lot more tension to the scene, as there would be a race against time. It's not like Vi and Caitlyn's motivations are bad, but failing to defeat Jinx doesn't mean anything because nothing's at stake if they fail. They can just regroup and try again, and they're no worse off than they were before. Hell, can't Vi just punch her way through the rubble? She's wearing Hextech mining gloves for fuck's sake. These things were literally made for crushing rocks. Or how about instead of Vi stopping Caitlyn, she actually shoots Isha? So either the kid dies or is severely injured, and Vi has to step in to stop Caitlyn from doing anything else. It could have been Vi to be the one to save Jinx by letting her escape. Then they have this breakup scene, but it's Vi who walks away from Caitlyn for turning into a monster, which is something they literally talk about earlier in the episode. This leaves Caitlyn in a much darker place and justifies her becoming an even more unforgiving character. This would have given her a much darker edge and would fit the idea better of her becoming this militaristic dictator at the end of the episode. Vi would also grow from this experience because she actively chooses to save her sister and to leave Caitlyn. This would give Vi a lot more agency in these scenes, and would be far more interesting to the audience because the disposition of each character is completely changed by the fight. On top of that, it would have also given a lot more chemistry to the idea of Vi and Jinx teaming up in the next episode, instead of this more or less random forgiveness scene. But right now, all we have are characters who interact with each other and seemingly change even though there's no reason to do so.
It's just the shit.
These are just shit.
So let's just reiterate some of these points so we all have a solid understanding of this fight and its very important outcomes. Both sides of the conflict fail to achieve their goals as nobody manages to kill each other. How exciting. But what happens during the fight that could be seen as consequential? Well, Jinx gets her finger shot off, something that most people would consider a serious... Wait, she just gets a new finger in the next episode. Is this becoming a trend for Ella Purnell to get her finger chopped off, only to immediately get another one a couple scenes later? So what else? Oh yes, the relationships. We see that Vi and Jinx reach a new breaking point as they are literally at each other's throats. That's gonna have an impact on their story, right? Oh no. Well, that's really it, I guess. I mean, we already discussed in depth how Caitlyn and Vi's breakup here is fucking weightless in hindsight, as they also repair their relationship in their next scene together. Oh, yeah, and Piltover gets a new paint job. Very meaningful. Oh, but Isha and Jinx, they're so close now. It's so sweet. Look at the little mute girl. How can anyone hate this show? This is just proof that no good story can come out of a neutral outcome. There are no real decisions made and there are no real consequences to the actual fight, so all of this amounts to being a pretty way to waste your time. God, this show used to be so good. How did we get to this? I really do hope that this video helps people understand what is really wrong with the writing of this show. Don't settle for this poor imitation of what was once a great masterpiece. It's a fucking disgrace to the franchise, and don't let anyone convince you that it's not. They seem to have forgotten the importance of things like consistent characters, actions, and consequences. Now it just feels like stuff is happening. Hey, make more stuff happen. Keep feeding us with slow motion. I want to see another freeze frame action shot. And more montages. I want more montages. In fact, I want an artsy montage for the end of this video. Hey, if anyone can make an artsy montage to explain my next video, leave a comment down below saying that you can do that. Also, subscribe to me and I'll get you to make me a montage. It'll be great. It would actually be far easier than explaining anything, that's for sure.